me now is Dr. Roshan Pereira, economist and former director at the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, and Dr. P. Sarvanamuthu, executive director at Center for Policy Alternatives. Let me come to you, Dr. Sarvanamuthu, first. Do you think Sri Lankan government let the situation and the issues get too bad before they started addressing it?
The particular intensity and acuteness of this crisis is definitely as a consequence of their incapacity to make any proper economic decisions and somewhat of a callous disregard for the suffering that people have been through. They shrunk the tax base. They tried to bring in organic fertilizer overnight. Anyone who has, I would have thought, any sense of economics would have realized that this was gross mismanagement.
Dr. Pereira, now that the government speaks to IMF and to their other creditors, what is the kind of bailout package that Sri Lanka is looking at with the International Monetary Fund?
So it's not so much the bailout package from the Monetary Fund alone. It has to cover all our creditors really, and all our whatever liabilities that we owe to the rest of the world. So I think the role that the IMF will play really is to come in to provide us with some kind of a backstop, because now we just took some macroeconomic measures. We floated the exchange rate, we raised interest rates, but as you can see, things have not really stabilized because we really don't have a backstop. So in a sense, what IMF does is really bring us some credibility and accountability, which helps then to be able to negotiate with our creditors, which is one of the key issues really facing us because of our debt issue and the debt sustainability problem.
What are these policy measures that we are talking about, Dr. Pereira?
It really is a problem of the country spending more than it earns and consuming more than it produces. We need to put in proper fiscal revenue consolidation measures. We need to increase our taxes. We need to put in place sort of a sustainable tax system. We don't necessarily do that. We need to have reforms of our state-owned enterprises. We know that our state-owned enterprises are making huge losses, and that has been just ballooning. But finally, we're very happy when we have, subsidized fuel and subsidized electricity, but we don't realize that nothing comes for free. Somebody is actually paying for it. It's somewhere in the system, and in Sri Lanka, most of it lies in the balance sheets of the banks. It's a cost to the economy and a cost to individuals, because that basically raises all our credit costs.
Dr. Sarvanamuthu, is it going to be easy, and is it fair, to expect a population or to put a population that is already burdened by high prices, is already burdened through the economic crisis, to go through austerity measures?
Well, it is going to get worse before it gets better. Secondly, I don't think we have any other option but to go to the IMF and to accept whatever bitter medicine that we have to take. It's a crisis of governance. And so there is a political dimension and an economic dimension. And I mean, quite frankly, who is going to lend and assist a country that cannot guarantee, cannot assure a certain degree of political stability which is required? Because what we have is a deadlock now.
So the government did rely on China for more commercial loans. Was that a wrong move on their part?
So I would say the borrowing itself is not a bad thing, as long as you invest in revenue generating projects or things that will increase the productive capacity of the country. But as Dr. Sarvanamuthu said, most of these funds were invested in projects which now, looking back in hindsight, that they are not revenue generating. So we're not earning revenue from that, but we have to pay the interest and the capital on those projects. So that is really where the problem lies. And also because it was commercial loans, what happens is it exponentially increases.
Do you see a requirement or a need for Sri Lanka to also diversify on its industries?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is that, look, we should, the whole sort of manufacturing and industrialization has probably, skipped us by, and now we need to go into services. We have not properly planned the economic development of this country. We do need to focus a lot in terms of how we can, release the potential of people. We want IT. That's what we want. We want IT. And you know, given the sort of basic profile of Sri Lanka, we should have been the Bangalore.
Yeah, that's right.
We should have been the Bangalore.